As far as like the general military attitude, I like what you said about how, people in media will say no one wants this war, but you were just in Fort Worth and there's people that are pretty pumped about it.
Very pumped. I was
I'd say that,
surprised how
yeah.
pumped because I think I'm on Twitter too much, and it was actually like a little
Hmm.
bit jarring how pumped people were.
Right. Yeah. The difference between real world and and online.
Yeah.
But I'd say within the military community, there is a generation that is kind of bummed that they missed out on the GWAT era. The people that have joined in the past 5 or 6 years, that all they do is train, and they're afraid they're not going to have any of those
So
experiences.
it's interesting you say that
And
because I've actually wondered about this, and I wondered that exact thing, which is just like how many people sign up for the military and they're like, no, I want to go fight. Like I don't want to just sit
yeah, so
around. Like
it's
I want to go do this.
right, right. There are plenty of people that, yeah, I'm doing this because I didn't have other good options, or there's college benefits or whatever, and I'll be perfectly happy to do my 4 or 6 years and come out unscathed and go to college. Like it's not
Yes.
like 100% of people are just champing at the bit for this, but there's probably a bigger percentage that like they don't want the best stories of their career to be like getting yelled at in basic training.
Right.
Like
Right.
they want to go out and experience. And I was the same way. Like I've been in for almost 30 years. And in the late 90s, like when there was talks of Bosnia, I was a tank driver at the time. And I was like, shit, I hope I get to go. And then later on, when uh, 2003, when Operation Iraqi Freedom kicked off, like I was trying to find a deploying unit to volunteer to go with as like an augmentee because I was afraid it'd be like Desert Storm. And if you weren't on the first wave, you'd miss it.
So is there any like is
So
do anybody who you're with, who you work with in the military, is any of them like, the fact that it's some people are like this is for Israel, like are they like I don't give a shit, I just want to go?
no, no, nobody that I'm with. And again, I think that's a difference between Twitter and the real world. Um, Not to say that there's not like one person here or there that's being corrupted to believe that, but
Yes.
that's not the general sentiment of we're being sacrificed for Israel
Right.
if we go.
You guys are just like,
Um,
let's fucking go.
yeah, but and the other side of that is like in 2017, I deployed to northern Syria and Iraq in the support of the fight against ISIS, like Mosul and Raqqa. And when I was leaving, someone said, "Oh, are you excited to be going with Trump as president?" And I said, "It doesn't matter. Like I've been in Iraq and Afghanistan under Bush, Obama. I was in uh, Afghanistan under Biden. Um, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You
Like
guys, I mean,
from
this
the
is what
guy
you've
on
been
the
training for,
ground.
right? It's like this is all the training.
Not
Like this
only
is the
does it
point
not
of it.
make any difference, like you don't care.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
um,
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, this is
but
what you
yeah, no,
train
I see a
for.
lot of stuff like, oh, yeah, it's the most guys that work for a fire department, I bet they don't think, man, I hope I can do a 30-year career and never have to pull anyone out of a burning building.
Right.
Like
Which is
everybody
understandable.
wants to, yeah. So,
It'd be like being on a practice squad for a
but no,
sports
like,
team.
oh,
You're like, I want to get in the game.
yeah, exactly, yeah, be yeah, career backup. But you and Ryan were talking about on the boys cast about how, I believe it was, you were talking about how like the people that were killed initially in the port were like reservists, and one of you said, why was it reservists? Like, aren't they like the last ones to go in?
Hmm.
So historically, that was true. Like through Vietnam, where they had the draft going, it was all active, and the National Guard and reserves were held back as a strategic reserve because you don't want
I mean, it's like the name is
the
reserve,
homeland
so
to be
as
vulnerable.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So there's been a huge shift in the past, like in my generation. So um, the say like combat heavy engineers, which is just what the Army calls construction units. There's people that build buildings. There's people that do like road and earthwork. 75% of them are in reserve components, with like half being National Guard and like 25% being reserves. So anytime you need that asset, You're not getting that from active duty Army. You're getting it from reserve.
Gotcha.
And it's good because those are skilled labor jobs where it's likely that the guy that's in that type of reserve unit does that full time professionally or something similar.
Makes sense. So it's not like necessarily
same thing with
on the
aviation.
ground soldier. It's like something more specific.
But there's a lot of that too. So yeah, my first deployment when I was 25, I was an infantry squad leader in the National Guard, and in 2004 we were just doing the same job as everybody else in Iraq. So, and then I've been aviation for the past 16 years or so. And so again, a lot of the.
Do you work privately in aviation, or are you just like in the full-time military?
I do. So yeah. So I'm currently deployed to California, for a year. But normally I fly cargo planes for my full-time job.
Gotcha. Interesting. Cool, man. I mean, I
hear a lot
insight.
I hear a lot of. Yeah, I see a lot of stuff where people are tweeting like, "Oh, I'm so worried that my son who's in the Army is going to have to go," and I'm thinking like he would be embarrassed if his buddies saw his mom's tweets.
Right. Yeah. You're like that's the equivalent of if you're like on a football team and you're like, I hope my son doesn't get into the game. They're gonna hurt him.
Yeah, because he's too tenderhearted.
Right.